Thank you. Avu Tila from ENCA. Minister, uh, just wanted to check, are you visiting these places, your post banks essentially, or are you and checking what's happening on the ground, or are you relying on the word of post bank? Because you mentioned now that all has been resolved, but currently, if you check on ENCA, I have the app here. There are beneficiaries right now that are watching this a briefing that haven't received their money. For example, Freddie Paul in Freyground, that's in the Western Cape. He only has been paid half of his money. That's 1,080 rand, and he was told that there were insufficient funds. He still hasn't received the bulk of his money. Christian Peterson on the screen on ENCA also hasn't received a single cent. From yesterday, he was told to come back on Friday, and if that is not resolved on Friday, to go back on Monday. So clearly, there are people that haven't received their monies as yet. If you come to Johannesburg at the post office in Lenasia, where my colleague Shlonim Timkulu is currently, you'll find that they're being told they're the beneficiaries that are going there to want their money, that they must come back. Well, they're told that imali pelile, essentially. So they're told that there's no money. So there are clearly beneficiaries that haven't received their money still on the ground. Are you doing the legwork yourself, Minister, or the different entities, or are you relying on Postbank? Because contrary to what you're saying, it's evident on the ground that there are people, beneficiaries, that still haven't received their payments, if you are to check on ENCA currently.
Thank you, viewer. You can go ahead.
Afternoon, my name is Kaya Koko from News 24. My questions are directed to both the Postbank and SASA CEO. Firstly, to the Postbank CEO, I just wanted to find out, in your briefing to the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee this week, in your presentation, you mentioned that there was like a 89.5 million rand fraud that necessitated a switch in the payment system. It stems from a KPMG report that you spoke about. Is that report public? Because I can't seem to find it. If not, are you able to share details about the KPMG report that you spoke about in Parliament this week, and what the actual fraud entailed, and whether the switch to the new payment system will prevent future frauds from happening again? And then to the SASA CEO, I just want to find out regarding Proclamation 78 of 2022 that was signed last year by President Cyril Ramaphosa on the 3-year cleaning tender in the Eastern Cape. Whether that, I found out that contract is still, that the proclamation is to investigate by the SIU. That contract, the cleaning contract, is still going on in the Eastern Cape, and I just wanted to know from the SASA CEO whether she is aware of that while the investigation is going on, and whether SASA had thought it prudent to suspend the contract pending the finalization of all investigations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kaya. Vanessa, do you have questions online? Let's take 3. Please turn off your mic, Kaya. You press the button over there.
Of space and the provider. So for now, we're not new developments with regards to that. Thank you.
It is still within the Post Bank, and we are managing it in terms of the recommendations by KPMG. The second question: has there been more tests that have happened since? Perhaps let's go back in terms of how testing, when you do any IT change. So you do testing before you do the change, which we did in this case. There's no more beta testing when you go live. So perhaps that's the best way to answer that question. When you go live, it's a best testing that you'll ever find, even before testing on in a SIT environment. So I'm not sure of the question, perhaps. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe let's start with the KPMG report. Under normal circumstances, there isn't much secret about it. But because there is this concern and we have created a lot of curiosity about it, we will have DGs here, we'll have to organize a special briefing on the KPMG report. And of course, we'll have to be properly legally advised. Where I'm sitting, there isn't much to hide. But because there's this repetitive call, who is who and so on. I said in the last meeting, you know how litigious South Africa is. So we need to be properly advised, but I think under normal circumstances, the public is owed that special briefing so that we close this thing, that there's nothing that is being created in as far as those facts are concerned. Maybe if we start with our view, I would have, let me put it this way, to respond to what I consider to be genuine questions. Minister Zulu has done some visit. I have arrived a night before last from the United States. I left you on Thursday after a press conference. I'm not going to say I'm going to visit or not visit. We've got a lot of our staff all over who have got a number of reasons to trust, by the way. But it remains important that as a minister, maybe find one opportunity or two to check for ourselves. So that point remains important, but it's not as if my colleague didn't do anything about it. But what are we responding to? We've got our technical people who are doing work. Because even when you go to the ground, you must know what you're going to check. You need to look at the records because our interface with our clients is in that system. We've got a new CEO who is hardly 8 weeks. Maybe I forgot to say, Avion, we're very proud of the work she has done in such a short space of time. I'm sure you are amazed. If I tell you, as she's been interacting with you, she's, as we speak today, she's hardly 8 weeks in this job. How she is stabilizing that institution is unbelievable. It will be remiss, and she's always available, by the way, whenever you guys want her. So, the work she has done so far, Avion, there isn't much basis for us to doubt and want to second her here, unless there's an information, going to say, we're not just trusting for the sake of trusting. Facts of the work she has already done demonstrate that she is worth our trust. Secondly, I would have thought, Avion, NCA would have given her at least 50 names, or maybe 100, because NCA has been speaking about thousands of people being reported who are not attended to. I thought this would be an opportunity so that we table a document here that says 1,000 or 2,000. But we appreciate the 2 or 3 that you are giving us because we take it positively. Anyone who queries the efficiencies of our intervention and do what you have done, we take it as a positive contributor because you are giving us facts. So we're going to follow this. And actually, our team is going to clear it. But I repeat what I said. Having listened to NCA about this process, I thought you'd be saying at least 50, not 1,000, and give us that. Because it's very, very important to do that. Our people are hurting because of this issue. And the issue of payments of grant is happening in a number of channels in South Africa. So that's why we want to be clear, when it is post office that is affected, it must be when it is post bank. Because you also spoke about people who visited the post office. That's a different issue. We're dealing here with the post bank. Post office is also our responsibility. If there are issues there are people who are leading post office who must be able to respond on that. So it's important to separate fiction from what we call from facts. So it's very, very critical because we are dealing with a sensitive matter of vulnerable people. Yeah. So, Mawande, She's asking
Can you resign?
if these problems occur the following week. Well, I want to say to Bawani, it will be for our employers to weigh the weight of our inefficiencies, and we will always subject ourselves to the will of our employers. But all what we are focused in is not whether we'll be fired or not fired, is to do the best we can to resolve this issue. So I thought that's the little I can respond to Mwandi. Let's come to Carol. As a matter of fact, I think it is misplaced to say this thing happened before this board. That's why I insist, DG, that we need to find a legally advised way to do a press briefing on KPMG, because there's a lot of falsification that has got a risk of actually taking rounds. The board that has left is comprised in two. The three who took more than, I think is it more than a year, TG? 3 years. Before the others joined in October. Right? All these things happen under their, their leadership. The fact that the bank has got 3 years disclaimer to Carol happened under this board. Right? As a matter of fact, we'll demonstrate to you when we do that briefing. There are new people who, I know we've discussed this with the DG. You feel such people would not have been affected in one way or another because they came here around October. But the challenge is they stayed here for a year knowing this, right? So I don't want to go to the details of that because, again, of a litigious South Africa. So I'm just trying to give you an impression that, clear information that, stop this thing that this thing happened, because we'll ask you which is the previous board you're talking about. You're not going to be telling. You're not going to tell us, well, such facts do not exist. With this board, this thing happened under the protocol. Of course, as individuals, it's always possible in an instance like this that amongst them, there could be innocent ones who are affected, but there is a particular communication. I want to repeat this. Before we almost, because they preempted us, they left on a particular day, when it was clear, based on our communication and my displeasure in the manner they ran the institution, they anticipated and preempted us. During that period, there's a lot of correspondences that have taken place, right? We know sometimes how litigious these things are, so you keep those. If you are called upon, there's a dispute in court, you are able to table those court. So there's nothing untoward, there's nothing clandestine. I've never worked on clandestine issues when it comes to government. Our records are clear, that include Minister Zulu, my colleagues. So I want to reassure there is no previous board and the current board. And there's also an issue, colleagues. I've had 2 or 3 colleagues in public say, we are hurting professionals, right? I want to make a point on this. I'll always be one of the first, together with my colleague Minister Zulu, to protect professionals. You protect professionals when they are professional. The fact that you've got a tag of being a professional is not enough. You must always act in a manner consistent with that tag. So I'm not referring to any of the board members as I'm speaking like this. I'm making a general statement to those who say professionals are being attacked. What is left? I think I'm done. Yes.
Thank you very much, Minister, and to both CEOs. And Aviwa, if you could just please also just text us those details of the people that you mentioned. As we did, as the Minister said in the statement, as well as the CEO, our records indicate that the matter has been resolved and everyone has been paid. and that if there are those that you are aware of, we'd be more than happy to follow up. And I think we actually have, between the Postbank team and the SASSA team, been following up with your colleague to say, as and when you do encounter something, please bring it to our attention so that we can also check that against our records so that we can find out exactly what is happening. And also just to indicate that the minister is actually, I think he forgot to say it, so I'll say it. The minister is actually doing daily briefs to the president on the matter. Every single day the minister is, together with both CEOs, actually doing daily briefs to the president to update, to keep the president updated on the situation as it unfolds. We will go for our second round of questions, colleagues. Okay, we have a follow-up. Okay. So we'll start with Kaya, then we'll come with Aviwa, and then we'll go to Vanessa.
Yes, Kaya Koko from News 24. Just to the Postbank CEO.
Can you speak a bit up?
Am I audible? Okay, there we
Yes,
go.
you are. Please proceed.
Yes, I just wanted to ask the Postbank CEO regarding the KPMG report that you spoke about. Yes, it is public knowledge, the 90 million. What I wanted to know was the change in the switch in the payment to prevent the fraud that happened. Are you confident that such fraudulent double payments or whatever will not happen with the new system that was necessitated by the KPMG report? Thank you.
Thank you, Kaya.
To the post office, because in the understanding I have, it's that they access the post bank services through the post office, not necessarily. I would understand that that's how they access the post bank services. But what message would you give them then as government, as they say they haven't received their payments, contrary to what you're saying now that everything has been sorted, they have received their monies, yet they've been told different things on the ground, Minister?
Thank you, Aviwa. Vanessa?
Sinasipo from Times Live has 4 more questions. This is a follow-up question related to the system testing. What was the size of the sample used when conducting the tests for the new payment system before implementation? That's a question for the Postbank CEO. The next question is for Minister Gungubele. Was the grant payment system change rushed? The second question, are you not concerned about oversight at the Postbank without a board and having only 2 people on top management who have only been appointed for about 2 months? When is the new board for Postbank expected to be appointed? Nonele Nkotana from Engcobo FM for Minister Gungubele. The state-owned entity is responsible for handling over 10 million social grants across the country. As we know that social grants are important to the livelihood of the most vulnerable in our community and have experienced an inconvenience during the system glitch, does the government guarantee that it won't happen again? What criteria are you using in making sure that this doesn't happen again in the future? Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think we'll start with the CEO, and then we will then go to the minister. CEO. Okay.
So I believe there were 3 questions. I hope I'm not going to leave any. The first one talking about, I think from News 24, the confidence, what confidence do we have that the new system will not allow fraud? I think perhaps let's understand, I'll take the case that we're talking about, the 89 million. In the investigation of the 89 million, it's not only systems that were involved. There were people that were involved. There's various groups of people that were part of it. What we have done is that with the information that we've gotten from KPMG and the recommendations, we are certainly putting those in place in terms of there have been people, if they were identified inside, that have been suspended. Some of them have been disciplined. We have changed already in terms of how we look. I know that the technical guys will probably have it, but I don't have it at hand as to exactly. But I can assure you that the different tests that were done, that needed to be done, because there is, even before I joined, because we have a variation notice, and that 70% of that relates to IT capabilities. So the business has done great. I think you haven't had any noise of such relating to those changes. It so happened that on this one, we had issues post-migration. And we know what those issues are. They were fixed on day one. It's in place. And also the planning of the change, as much as the change happened in August, the planning of the question as to what criteria are we using to make sure that it won't happen again. I think relating to the switch, the criteria that we absolutely use is to always test as to what went wrong. Did we fix it? Do we know do we have assurance that what went wrong was fixed? I think we've provided that because the issue happened on the 5th and the switch has been working as it should from the 7th. And I think that's also something that we need to emphasize. The switch has been working as it should from the 7th already, as the issue happened on the 5th. Even above that, we're just even making sure with other technical capabilities to increase any capacity that relates to how the switch works. I hope I've answered everyone.
Thank you very much. I thought I should repeat something because, with due respect, in my view, I think in terms of our record, NCA is continuing something which I think is not helpful. NCA says, as we conduct this briefing, Minister Lindwe Zulu, a no-show in the press briefing. I mean, I don't know how do you guys expect us to react to that, because as we talk now, she's on air. What does ANC, at the risk of concluding that NCA is pushing a political agenda, not a media communication agenda? Because what do you want to achieve when we say to you as a matter of fact, the minister is in transit? You guys know, Minister Ndindwez will never run away from any press briefing. Now here on record, we can show you. NCA, as we speak now, says Lindwe Zulu, a no-show. No, we'll come to that. Allow me to address, and this is record, we're not even fabricating this. Secondly, the least NCA can help us, as they continue now to say hundreds of people, however. Please, we read the numbers, WhatsApp, toll-free numbers, and everything. You must know, no matter how dedicated we are, we cannot be everywhere at all material times. But our people, they've got cell phones, they've got radios, they've got whatever, and the fact that NCA is able to know where they are, we are asking you as media people to give them these numbers. You have given us 2 names, but NCA continues again. In mathematics, they call it solving for X, variable or something like that, solution for X. Every time we say we are able to calculate, give us the facts, we will solve for X. They just throw an X in the space, and they are not actually assisting. And I'm saying, please, NCA, we want to work with you. We want to work with you in resolving the problems of our people. I want to repeat this, unless you actually forcing us to conclude that NCA is not about resolving the problem that we're confronted. By the way, it's our people who are affected by this thing, because you are beginning to force us to think as who is NCA, right? ENCA. We don't want to get there. You know, I don't fight with media, no matter what they say about me, because I respect you guys. You are there for that job. But if this institution treats us like this, it's a problem. It's not helping the people who are suffering. Let us say the system is failing. Let's say that. How is NCA on daily basis assisting them? If they don't give them the numbers that we're giving NCA, if they don't call us and say, at a particular post office, our people are going to go, by the way. I just want to tell you now, Nick, and so if the NCA can say, in a particular post office, at a particular at this time, in almost every area we've got branches, we are going to send people to resolve that. But if you say everywhere, hundreds, please, we want to respect ENCA as an independent media. Please help us think like that. Attack us, criticize us, we'll never fight with you. You can check my track record. I don't fight with media. I don't have time for that. But now we're dealing with a matter which is affecting vulnerable people. Please, guys, sisters, I repeat, Lindwe Zulu, a no-show, surely, that's unacceptable. It's totally unacceptable. And the other thing, by the way, I think I must say this, CEO, Lindwe Zulu is not administering these payments. It's my department and its entities that is dealing with it. And I'm prepared to take the flag for that. And I've watched Avu being attacked on several bases, on something we in my department are supposed to take what to call flag for. And what has she done? Why are we doing this to her? What's the problem? Is it about resolving this matter or targeting her? I thought I must make that point, because this to me is totally unacceptable. So having said that, to the people of who you spoke about, the least we can say is again repeating the numbers that we read. I hope I can catch them quickly for the sake of your insistence, which I think I still want to assume is of genuine concern. Where is this? Where is these numbers? Page what? Yes. Okay. Yes. We said SASSA, we said for bank accounts, queries related to SASSA, gold cards, clients can contact Postbank on 0800535455. WhatsApp 0738061631. Right? We are saying to NCA, you are available. Chase us everywhere. I repeat, we've got branches almost all over the country. Tell us the area. The CO are going to make a call and make sure that people check who those people are. Right? We'll do everything we want to help our people. But this approach is not going to resolve this thing. So that's the list for now of you we can do. And if we can be told before we leave here, which areas, and as we leave here, there will be agents who will be sent to those areas where our people are, because we are committed. Some of us, by the way, the only thing we have lived for is we have lived for our people. We can tell you stories about how we got where we are for our people. So we cannot just abandon them now overnight. So my appeal, I'm okay. I'm okay, I'm fine. But my appeal, please help us, guys. I know, unfortunately, you are the one from, we're not saying it's you who's doing this thing. Unfortunately, you are from ANC. It's okay. Or if you can answer us, Nungaba will deal with that. It's fine. The other issue was, oh, no, I think I've tried to do that. And Ngobo, maybe I thought it was important to use Ngobo call to say, if I heard them properly, to say, out of almost 18 social grant beneficiaries, 18 million, Postbank is dealing with almost 1/3 of that. It's important to also know that, 1/3 of that. So we're answering for that 1/3 here, in as far as Postbank is concerned. But as government, it doesn't matter where else it's happening. We are always responsible, even if it's not Whether it's not in the post office, it's not in the post bank, we share the concern with SASSA about ensuring that our people are in a better place. Yes, oh yeah, the very important point I nearly forgot, Chef, from Usinesipo. She says, was this thing not rushed? The moving from one system to other. I hope you have answered that. Thank you. If you have dealt with that, it's okay. Now the question is, how is the oversight going to take place? Last week I said, on that day, an advert will be issued. We said to you, we are appointing an administrator whose track record in South Africa you can't question. Part of the turning around of SARS, part of the turning around of Uhuleni, part of a DG of Mpumalanga with an impeccable record, Mr. Kale Tungem, is going to administer. I don't think it will go beyond 2 months, by the way. We said we're going to issue adverts that day. We did on the same day. Some of you must have watched your media, you must have seen it. Because we mean business about making sure that this institution is under capable hands. Because this is a financial institution. Not that any other institution deserves this other issue. So I'm trying to reassure Sinesipo about how the oversight is going to be done. Already the CEO who has come in hardly 8 weeks has demonstrated her capability, combination with the administrator and the adverts that are actually out, and the department. We've got what we call in our department an oversight, a state entity oversight unit. It's going to be working with all of them. So it's not like the post bank is left in the open front. So I'm trying to reassure the question that has been raised by Sir Aviwe. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. We will take one last round if there are any burning questions that have not been responded to. Do you have a question that you want to respond to the Minister? Okay. All right. Wait. Are there any other burning issues, colleagues? Okay. All right. No, that's fine. Aviwe?
Well, thank you. Minister, I just think it's a bit unfair to suggest that ENCA has an agenda when, for example, this morning we are at these areas where these people are inside, for example, I'm in Cape Town, where they say they've either been paid half of their money or haven't received any. And I think as a media company, it's only our responsibility to ask those questions and not to just take on face value what you'll be telling us as government. You mentioned that that crawler on ENCA around Minister Lindiwe Zulu saying that she's a no-show. As much as you may have explained it, but it's the reality that she isn't here now. She might be traveling, which is a...
Okay, okay, let's allow him to finish. Let's allow him to finish.
But factually, if we are to speak fact, the minister is not here. It's a crisis, of course, that's engulfing a lot of people. We'd expect that the minister be here. Not that it's part of any malice or anything. We're just reporting on what's happening here, Minister. So I think it's a bit unfair to say that we've got an agenda politically or otherwise when our duty as journalists is to report what's happening on the ground, and we give you what's been happening today. And yeah, I think it's just a bit unfair, Minister.
All right. No. Thank you, Aviwe. I think firstly, the minister firstly reiterated that as government, we are committed to working with the media, which is why we appreciate the fact that every time we have a message to communicate, you do come and you do provide that platform for us. I think at the beginning of the media briefing, we did state that Minister Zulu is not here, and we stated the reasons as to why she's not here. When the minister also spoke, the minister stated she's not here and also stated the reasons why she's not here. A no-show, I don't want us to get into semantics of what English means. A no-show means when someone does not pitch and there's no explanation for their absence. And I think that is not what happened today. But we also don't want that to be what becomes, the big story out of our media briefing. As far as we are concerned, we came to give an update on how far or how we've resolved the matter. Members of the media, like yourselves, are saying that actually there are people that are still in queues, and we've said we would like the details of those people. We've even stated that the teams of SASSA and the teams of Postbank will be going out into the communities at the various post offices, particularly the two that you've mentioned, the two areas that you've mentioned in Lenasia as well as Bonteville. We already have people following up on that, and we do appreciate you giving us that kind of information. And just to reiterate, I think that's the kind of relationship that we want to have. We want to have a relationship where if there's a problem that you do pick up, it does, get to us as well, so that we can ultimately resolve the question or resolve the matter and not have a situation whereby we are speaking past each other. I think more than anything, that's the crux of what we wanted to communicate, and we want to continue working with colleagues in the media, ENCA, newsroom, News 24. We appreciate the relationship that we're building, and we also understand the importance of the fourth estate within a democratic society, and that's why we'll continue engaging each other. And I think that brings us to the end of our media briefing. Thank you very much, colleagues, and thank you very much, colleagues. And as we did say, that we are more than happy, we've issued the